Hello! And welcome to episode number 46 of Modern Media Review, the podcast that has already started enjoying summer safely. But got to be said that with this government advice, it leaves you quite a lot of room for manoeuvre. I'm Robin Gibson.
And I'm Sean Gollogly.
And yes, enjoy summer safely, but not financially safely, Sean. I mean, I was out at the pub yesterday, had a few pints of lager in a beer garden, which was really pleasant, like with table service and all that. It's like being in the 1920s. But
that's very brave of you, Robin.
Well, going to the pub.
Yeah.
Had to be done. But, the thing is, it was a massive shock, because, they don't serve up 4 cans of Red Stripe for a £5. I'd sort of forgotten that a pint in London costs like £6.90 or something.
Isn't it £66.70?
Something like that round in West London, yeah. It's something that it makes you wonder if people are going to be tempted back.
Well, not when you've been going down getting cheap can offers from the likes of Morrison's and Sainsbury's, who also tell you to sort of drink safely as well, whilst flogging you out these incredibly cheap offers on booze.
They were desperate to keep us in the pub, because there weren't enough people there. I think we could have drunk like 12 pints and caused a riot, and they'd have been still walking up saying, "Would you like any more?" Anyway, that's not part of the government advice, is it? So, they came out with a slogan, didn't they? Enjoy summer safely, which I was really joyful when I found out they'd launched this, because I do enjoy their advice websites. Like the Brexit one, you remember, was brilliant.
I do.
With the little Lego type people, which is back in fashion now, because Keir Starmer's a Lego type person, isn't he? And I sort of advise about how to crash your car in Greece and take your ferret up to the continent. And I did wonder if that site was still spewing out the advice, but then I thought, we don't really need to worry about that, because it's almost 6 months till it happens, and it's enjoy summer safely now.
Well, I love their slogans, and it always seems to be, they've got it down to the art of sloganeering, where it's always 3 words. And like Trump tweets, it's all in caps, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, control the virus.
Yeah. I mean, this is the great success of Boris Johnson and Cummings, is that any major issue, just squeeze it into 3 words. Control the virus, build, build, build. I mean, they've made such a ham-fisted job of COVID that perhaps it should have just been screwed.
Well, yes, well, enjoy summer safely. At least it's 3 different words.
That's
but
true.
Unfortunately, I'm really annoyed. It's not a proper website with the Lego people. It's just a sort of page on gov.uk, but, we can soldier on. Because I have been worried that without good, clear advice, I might just go ahead and enjoy summer unsafely.
It's always a risk. And it may only be a page, but what I guarantee you, Robin, is that it's been outsourced to some company that's charged us a fortune for something an intern's probably knocked out in half an hour.
I think it's been outsourced to some people who've had 6 pints of lager in the pub, because it's bloody well all over the place, isn't it? I mean, it's totally vague and confused, like the Brexit. There's a few good bits in it, like the first one is quite definitive, because it says keep your distance. Then it says, while recognising this might not always be possible. There's your room for manoeuvre, mate.
Well, very clear, and at the same time, desperately muddy.
Then it says, once you're keeping your distance, avoid being face to face and stay side to side. Well, that's not much use, is it, if you want a punch-up or dogging or even just a mild argument, is it? These are all essential things for the Great British Night Out, I think we agree. And I didn't see anyone sitting side by side in the pub, and it's all too vague.
Well, interestingly, when you're in the pub, were they wearing face masks?
No, because, you'd have to have straws, wouldn't you?
Poked through your paper face mask. Well, it's interesting because, obviously, Boris has now, in another one of his volte-face,
daily,
is saying that we're all going to have to wear face masks in shops and pubs, and there will be £100 fine for not wearing your face mask in shops, and there's going to be a policeman in every single corner store off sales place. Oh yeah, definitely. But unsurprisingly, the Daily Mail, which is obviously your favourite, not mine, has been saying that the police are saying it's unworkable.
Never.
Well, is that surprising?
Well, let's face it, they really need to start threatening people properly with internment or something like that. Just for being face to face. It's all just avoid this and try to do that. And we need to break it to them that people who, even conscientious people, do their best to avoid things like, I don't know, mixing drink and hard drugs, or try to sort out their recycling properly. They almost always end up not doing either. Usually the opposite. They try it, but then they end up mixing drink and hard drugs and chucking everything in the general waste bin. You've got to tell them what to do, like in China.
What they need to do is, never mind fining people £100, I mean, they should taser these people. And basically then, when you spot the virus running round, because obviously you can't control it unless you can see it, is you need to chase him around pubs and shops, wherever he is, shouting, "Control the virus! Control the virus!"
Well, you know, you could get Mark Francois to threaten it.
What a terrible man. Did you see in the House of Commons Defence Select Committee last week, he was giving out to the head of the army. Here's the quote. He says, "Please nip back to the department and ask them to sort their bloody selves out, because if not, Cummings is coming down there and sort you out his way, and you won't like that." What sort of tool talks like that?
No, it's pathetic.
It's like pulling out your get out of jail free card in the school playground, saying, "I'll get my big brother on you."
Who is this head of the army anyway?
Well, I had to look it up, obviously, because it wasn't tripping off my tongue, but it's Sir Nick Carter. And anyway, well, bloody cheek. All this coming from a pro-Brexiteer called Francois.
Yes.
I mean, angry from Tunbridge Wells didn't vote Brexit to have a bloke like that in a select committee.
Well, I mean, who cares anyway? I didn't know his name. He looked like one of those red-faced Blackadder First World War throwbacks, didn't he?
He did.
It's highly unlikely we need an army anyway. Maybe Francois is right. A small one, I think. Cummings should just get rid of it.
Well, I think that's what he's got next, isn't it?
Yeah, well, good. But the moving on from the army, I don't know how did we go into the army?
I have no idea.
We've got another recommendation to keep indoor places well ventilated, but they've obviously never been to South London in the summer, have they? I mean, I do like that smell. It makes me feel at home, but I wouldn't open the window during the day to let it in. And then it says avoid crowded spaces. Avoid, where possible. How loose? Pete Doherty could observe this advice and just carry on as normal, where possible. I
mean, I do love those caveats, where possible, really, because it betrays a certain lack of knowledge about the whole topic. It'd be a bit like if I was going to explain to you how to make a Victoria sponge cake. I mean, I guess I'd start off with break some eggs, because you can't make a cake without breaking some eggs. Then,
so I've heard.
Yeah, add some flour, I don't know, caster sugar, where possible. And, hope for the best. Well, or alternatively, just ask your granny. Oh no, you can't, because she was a COVID victim early doors in hospital. Felt a bit ill, went to hospital, then got plonked back into a care home without being tested, and infected the whole nation, apparently. Blame the grannies and the care workers, Robin.
I think we already have blamed them. Everyone else is off the hook. Then it says work from home if you can, but then I think they've changed that now. Who knows? I mean, are they updating this? Is Chris Grayling updating this daily? As a run-up to his gig in charge of the Security Council?
Oh, my God.
I love the line from an article about this, right? It's just sort of, it's beyond belief. It says, Chris Grayling has long been Johnson's choice for the job, but the plan has been disrupted by months of wrangling as the Tories search for colleagues willing to vote for him. He's like one of those CEOs, like an expert in vegetable farming and xylophones or something. He somehow lands a job running a road construction company and then cocks it all up and walks off with a big payoff and gets a job running the railways.
I mean, it's almost like a bad joke with Grayling, isn't it? I mean, head of intelligence. I mean, isn't this an oxymoron for the man who awarded a ferry contract to a company that actually lacked any boats?
It's an old saying, though, isn't it? Something like, give a man a ferry contract and he'll be able to sail a boat. I don't know, something like that. It's all very zen, isn't it, Then again, avoid shouting. I mean, avoid shouting or singing close to people outside your household or bubble. I mean, shit, That really knocks my plans for 6. Getting smashed and charging down the road, shouting and singing at people. That's what I've really missed. Although, going by the high street around here, I don't think everyone's sticking to this rule. There's a lot of shouting and singing at you out there.
I can't remember the last time I actually went outside the front door and started shouting and singing at my neighbours.
You live in a much more genteel area than me. And then I'm going to give up at number 8, whatever number it was. Wash your clothes regularly. Say no more. I've been forgetting to do that.
Well, where possible, surely.
I was reading an article about it was about cleanliness, a new book that's come out about cleanliness in the Dark Ages and stuff like that. And apparently, like even in the 1930s, when they started researching the National Health Service, they found that some children in Blackburn had removed their clothes for 6 months.
What?
Maybe they still think everyone lives like that, We're just weird.
Well, I do love the assumption that people didn't wash themselves or their clothes before COVID pandemic. Mind you, that said, I am showcasing the Leonardo DiCaprio Revenant look at the moment. The long hair and beard.
Yeah.
So maybe I should, where possible, start shaving and cutting my hair a bit.
And wash your clothes. Yeah.
Washing, where possible.
Yeah. Anyway, that's enough of that nonsense. The best. I looked at some of the feedback on Twitter, and the best one was just one that said, "Don't you dare tell me what to do."
Well, that does sound like the equivalent of shouting at your neighbour, doesn't it?
Oh, there's someone else said they need to get their act together and produce a coherent, precise and concise set of guidelines.
They've just done that, haven't they?
Well, it'll all change tomorrow. There's so many volte-faces or volts-face. I don't know what to do with those French compound words. It's volts-face, like Grand Prix, isn't it? But but it's so changing so quickly, we'd have to make this a 24-hour live podcast to keep up with it. But they have done something that they can't change every day, which is their ad.
Yes.
Their ad for, I've been seeing it a lot on the telly, and it's just as lame as you'd expect, isn't it? Classic ad agency guff with, really light brown people. And, there is one point being made, actually, that I thought was good, because this woman goes into a coffee shop, and she gets the ludicrous choice of, half soy, a triple latte, brandy-infused, flat white, dog turd top, gold-injected crappuccino. And she just asked for a cup of tea. Now, I'm totally with her there, but that's not what the coffee shop wants, is it?
Well, I don't know, because surely that would be more profitable.
Well, yeah, because as I've always said, everyone's in their own business, really. Selling cups of tea is the thing, isn't it? How much does a tea bag cost? About half a p.
If that.
And a lot less if you buy it in those big boxes from the wholesaler. Water's next to nothing, isn't it? They virtually give it away. And yet these places get away with charging like £2 for a cup of tea. They're charging anything as long as it's 50p cheaper than the cheapest coffee.
We are in the wrong business. But Robin, I've always I get anger management issues in coffee shops, so I tend to avoid them, because the idea of paying £5 a pop for something which is essentially pretty cheap gives me this feeling of stupidity and a suspicion that the barista is secretly laughing at me for being such a dupe. Especially especially since I don't use the place as either an internet cafe or a public convenience.
No, neither do I.
But that's another thing. Very noticeable when you're out and about. You were taking your exercise during lockdown. The problem was I soon discovered that you couldn't go too far from home, really, as there's nowhere to have a pee in public anymore.
It's horrendous.
All the public toilets are closed. You can't nip into your local Debenhams, peruse the Levi's for 5 seconds, then nip up to the bog. The pubs are all closed. You're basically up shit creek without a paddle.
Literally, because I drove into the middle of Paisley one day to do some shopping when I was up in Scotland, and I had to drive home to go for a pee, and then come back and continue the shopping. Anyway, the ad's basically saying what we're meant to do, right? I've had a look at it in detail.
Okay.
And it says, basically there's only 3 things it recommends. Drinking coffee, getting your hair cut and the poodle groomed, and then go into shop and buy some nice frocks.
Not great for you.
Not really. None of them have had my hair cut. I don't drink coffee. I haven't got a poodle and I don't wear frocks. But I did notice something, because I had a close look at the ad, and there's a little sort of bit of subliminal warning in it. In the opening sequence where all these human guinea pigs are waking up, getting out of bed and all that, I noticed this sort of nanosecond shot of a bloke. Well, I presume it's a bloke. You can only see his ankles, but it's got trousers and male-type shoes. And we'll leave all our thoughts on transgender issues till we go on Twitter later, right? That's a good idea, I think.
Yeah, very good idea.
Anyway, he's at the doorway, right? And he's got it looks like he's got a big stick at his feet. I can't see what else it could be but a big stick. What's going on there?
To beat the virus and control the virus.
He's pick up and smash his way through the dystopia of sort of non-socially distanced cappuccino freaks and frock buyers. Get to the front of the queue at the pub. Well, that's not going to. You're not going to need a big stick for that, going by my experience. And then there's a be socially safe sign on the ground as if he's discarded it. Maybe that's the subliminal government advice, carry a big stick.
Well, it's not subliminal to you, Robin, because you've seen quite a lot in this one little frame.
Anyway, talking of subliminal advice, just stop for a minute so we can advise people non-subliminally of where they can listen to the podcast.
Very good. Nice segue.
Don't know where you're listening. Just made that one up. We don't know where you're listening to it, but you can listen to it on YouTube, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, even on our website, modernmediareview.com, and you can subscribe on any of those platforms. So if you like it, or as you always say, Sean, if you don't like it,
yep,
subscribe and enjoy. I don't think we need to say any more about that, do we?
No, good plugging, Robin.
Yeah, very concise, I thought, unlike the government's advice.
Listen where possible.
Listen where possible and avoid other podcasts. Anyway, going back to that ad, right? Just before,
I do like this, because I know where you're going with this.
Just before we did this, I noticed a big problem. Quite a lot. In fact, none of these cheery post-COVID customers are wearing a mask. None.
Shocking.
And one shopkeeper, the one who's selling the frocks, she's got a mask on at the start, but at the end, she's not wearing it anymore. And there's no coppers anywhere. None at the doorway or anything.
It is an absolute disgrace. Not just the lack of continuity between having someone wearing a face mask and then not wearing it at the end. But they need to fine these people
yes.
for not wearing their face masks. I mean, they need to fine them retrospectively. And even if they are actors...
Give them an extra fine if they're actors.
Yeah, because they're setting a bad example.
Yeah.
And anyway, getting back to Boris's ridiculous thing about having a copper in every mini store... They shouldn't be called policemen. They should be called mask prefects, because... I don't know about you, Robin, but this all sounds so very public school to me.
I know what you mean, but not having been to public school, I couldn't possibly comment.
Well, I didn't either, but, I'm sure that they could deduct house points from people.
Oh, yes, definitely.
But it's not surprising that it's all mask prefects, is it? Because if you look at the cabinet...
Maybe they could cane people.
Maybe that's what the bloke had the cane at his feet for in the advert.
Take you back to the study and chase you around the study with a cane. That's a bit old. That's getting the old Britain back, isn't it?
That is getting the old Britain back.
Yeah.
Which is not surprising, as we've got a cabinet full of ex-public school boys.
We have. It's very ex-public school male cabinet, isn't it?
But what they should have done with that government ad is forget about all these, light brown type people not wearing their face masks. They should have got the girls from the new Ladbrokes ad involved in it. They're a fearless bunch who aren't really risk averse.
They love it.
No fears about COVID for them.
No, they love a big punt on the horses, don't they? It's the most unlikely gambling ad I've ever seen.
Well, it's amazing, isn't it?
Are we not being sexist here?
I don't think so, because I think the people that are being sexist are Ladbrokes, portraying these women as some sort of mug bingo people that have suddenly discovered horses and are not going to bet each way on it because they don't like playing it safe. They like to whack it on the nose.
Anyway, I was reminded of this sort of all this danger outdoors. It reminded me of the old anarchist slogan. Do you know the one? Always carry a ladder. The principle of it is that you look as if you're on your way somewhere to do something, and people make way for you. It does work. It's a bit like a political version of the putting on the old thing they used to put on a workman's coat and go into the hospital ward and carry out the TV.
Yeah.
Except this isn't for stealing. This is just for getting around. Carry a ladder. And actually, one of those outbreaks, years ago of kettling in Oxford Circus with some, like students or something like that, I actually saw someone in the middle with a little ladder, and they were making their way out. So it does work, So if things get hairy and you're planning to go out, just take a little ladder with you.
Well, next time I go to a coffee shop to start ranting about the price of coffee, I will make sure that I've got a little surveyor's ladder underneath my arm.
Any sort of riot or social unrest, if you've got a ladder, You've basically got a clear pathway. Anyway, talking of clear pathways, right? The best thing about this ad is the end of it. Did you see that? Did you get to the end? It's only a minute long.
Yeah.
It's like an empty road winding round a country hillside.
Oh, very bucolic. Very bucolic.
Part of the problem, though, isn't it? It's no more convincing than those ads for cars where there's no traffic. You know, the ones where you think, I'll get one of them, buy one of them, and there's no traffic. It's just you tearing down the highway on your own or tootling along in the country lanes. But that's not going to be it, is it?
No, it never is.
The empty roads won't be. They'll be full of carloads of coked up idiots, crates of Stella on the roof rack, and delivery drivers wobbling along with pizzas.
they are so dangerous.
And hundreds of people on those stupid little scooters.
Oh, man. I hate those little scooters.
Well, my mate Paul texted me about a year ago and he said he would think he'd seen a load of them somewhere. He said, if I ever arrive up on one of those fucking little scooters, make sure to punch me in the face. And you thought, that's never going to happen, is it? But now they've been promoted.
Well, exactly.
Eco-alternative.
It's going to be like mobile phones when they first came out. Everyone sneered and said, oh, Christ's sake, you never catch me using one of those ridiculous things.
But I mean, what gets me about these little scooters, and we make it clear we're talking about those electric ones or whatever they are.
Yeah.
What exactly are they an alternative to? Walking?
Walking, I think, yeah.
Well, what's wrong with walking?
Well, it's a bit 20th century, isn't it?
They're just the same as walking, except they're slightly faster. Why is no one promoting walking?
Exactly, I like that, Robin.
Anyway, have you got any more to say about this ad?
No.
No, it's rubbish, isn't it?
Well, it's appalling, apart from the fact that I definitely want those actors fined.
Oh yeah, we'll make a petition. Change.org, something like that.
But anyway, so what have been your favourite COVID interventions since last time we spoke about COVID?
Well, obviously, the best one came from old reliable Matt Hancock, didn't it? I mean, can this bloke...
He's not had a good lockdown, has he?
Can this bloke be pilloried enough? When those pubs had to close as soon as they opened because half the clientele ended up in ICU on the Monday, you know, he literally said, they have closed so that others may stay open. I mean, Jesus.
Heroic.
Is that from the Bible or is it Churchill or World War One or what is it? Obviously, right, the subliminal word is died. You mentally substitute for closed, don't you?
Well, I mean, it is ridiculous. I mean, it's almost like it's like an addiction, isn't it? They just love a Churchill illusion. Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so few. Sorry, let me start again. Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. I mean, that was the Churchill Battle of Britain.
Try saying that when you're drunk. Mind you, he did.
Yeah, permanently. But it's a bit different, Matt's sort of version of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Never in the field of human drinking was so much owed by so many to so few COVID-addled piss artists. I mean, it isn't really inspirational, and it doesn't carry the same gravitas, does it?
No, well, he's not. These lot, they're not really ones for gravitas, this mob, are they? On which, no, probably better than that was... somehow they duped Oliver Dowden, the previously unknown culture minister. He's a bit of a human puddle, really. He's very uninteresting. And they got him on the daily briefing, right? And they asked him about train travel. You know, why can some people do this and others not do that and what have you? And he answered, right? To me, that his ludicrous answer should really be done in the style of those Haribo adverts.
Oh, man, it was extraordinary.
He said...
So, yeah, Dowden says, in London, lots of people use public transport, but outside of London, most people use cars.
What?
I mean, what is this?
What is he actually... We're doing the Haribo characters a disservice because their analysis is a lot sharper than Dowden. What is he on about? In London, lots of people use public transport.
I mean,
it's not even right. I mean, what does he mean? Outside London, most people use cars.
It just, I don't know. Where do you start? I mean...
Well, I don't know.
Well, quite possibly, never mind Haribo, it's quite possible that one of these on-trend folk in the cabinet has been handing out tubes of nitrous, and they've been making policy on the hoof while honking lungfuls of hippie crack.
It's just, it sums up the grip in reality, doesn't it? They haven't got one.
Unlike the Daily Express, mate.
Well, yes, a bit of cheer to end on, isn't it? Because the other day they had their Battle of Britain pull out. Got me going anyway.
Classic. Absolute classic.
80th anniversary it was. Big one.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I was looking forward to it, and I've kept my souvenir edition.
Well, you know what? That and things like that and Jack Charlton dying just really bitterly depressed me. I mean...
What, you were depressed about Jackie Charlton dying?
Well,
World Cup hero?
I thought he was dead, but there you are.
Shocking.
He was certainly out of the public eye. But is Britain ever going to shake off this morbid obsession with the past?
No. No, well, not before the end of this podcast, Robin, that's for
I
sure.
feel like saying, come on, it's the 20th century, as people used to say before it became the 21st. But to many people, it always will be the 20th century.
Well, I think this is the problem that people have got, is that they don't want the 21st century, Robin.
No, they don't. That's true. That's the problem. But we do. And we'll carry on in the 21st century next time, won't we?
Hopefully.
We'll have some more 21st century material to review. It won't talk about the Battle of Britain or Jackie Charlton.
I might mention Heinkels and Junkers, though.
Yeah, well, I'm always a bit worried when I hear a plane overhead.
Absolutely.
Anyway,
I'm gonna get stuck into some Haribos, mate, and start spouting about COVID.
Yeah, me too. So we'll say thanks very much for listening.
Cheers for that.
And we'll talk to you next time. For the time being, goodbye.
Goodbye. Cheers now.